Hi, my name is Pip and this is my review of Brave by Rose McGowan. Before I start this video, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a trigger warning. If you haven't heard somehow of Rose McGowan's story, it does concern sexual exploitation, sexual assault, rape, and many other issues that you may find triggering, so please consider carefully before you watch this video. I decided to listen to Brave by Rose McGowan after listening to Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill. And Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill, I almost feel like I need to listen to again. I feel like that really should be required reading. It is terrifying to think how much of what we consume as a population receiving news, and it's just crazy to think how much of that is controlled by people in power or people who have money who don't want you to hear certain stories. This book is filled with so much anger, and rightly so. Rose has had a life that has been filled with unimaginable hardships and pain, and just she has had a journey that I can't imagine, and the fact that she has survived it is remarkable on its own. I found this book for me was a lot to take in because there is a lot of anger in this book, again, justifiable anger. I found at times it was difficult to listen to, in part because recently I've had some dramas of my own in life, and so I found that listening to this book, I had to sometimes choose what mood I was in to listen to it, because it's a lot to take in and it's a very heavy subject. It was very confronting to listen to this book. I was horrified by some of my own reactions, and then I had to check myself and think about what she's doing and think about how difficult it must have been for her to write this book and then to read it and then to have to promote it and to have to talk about these things over and over again while people talk about her just being an angry woman. And then you kind of realize she has every right to say whatever the fuck she wants to say. So I think my reaction to listening to parts of this book and thinking that she was trying to be provocative is maybe just a sign of how, I guess, brainwashed we've been as a culture to react in certain ways. And I mean, as much as I don't like to admit that I had that reaction to her book, I think it's important because it is a very confronting book and it is difficult to read or listen to. Because, I mean, if you've ever had a conversation with someone who has been through enormous trauma, whether it's you trying to tell your friends what you've been through or you listening to your friends talk about their trauma, it is difficult to sit there. It is difficult to listen because it's uncomfortable, it's painful, it's confronting, it's profound, it is provocative sometimes, it's a lot of things, and this book is all of those things. And it's like having a very long and intense conversation with someone about a lot of deeply traumatic events, and it's hard to listen to. I think Rose should be angry. I think she should be setting Hollywood on fire. I think there are so many disgusting people who just fucked her over for their own benefit, and they're just repulsive. And I think this book is really interesting because it makes you have a look at your own biases and assess where those biases come from, and I think it makes you reassess the way you consume media and stories and movies and TV shows, and just gives you a little bit of an idea about the behind the scenes of Hollywood, which is just seedy. The thing that does amaze me, or that amazed me while listening to this book, is how much people have just focused on the Hollywood side of things and the Harvey Weinstein side of things. Rose grew up in the Children of God, and her experiences there just horrific. I mean, this is a woman who has been traumatized and triggered and re-triggered 1,000 times over. She has endured more than any human should have to, and it is a very confronting book about a person who has been through things that no human should have to go through. While there were definitely parts of this book that made me flinch, I think this book for me personally was really important because I think it made me reassess my own reaction to things. I think it made me learn, which is always a good thing, and I think that it opened my eyes even further, especially when you read this alongside Farrow's Catch and Kill. I think really it's a very important book because Rose's story just kind of shows how trauma affects people differently and how you can be re-traumatized over and over again, how trauma stays with you throughout your life and colors everything that comes throughout the rest of the years of your life. I think this is an important book because it shows that it's not just fight or flight. It shows some of the many reasons why people who have been victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment don't speak or take a long time to speak. It shows why it's really important that our laws reflect the fact that it sometimes takes people a really long time to speak. This book also shows just how common sexual harassment is at a huge, varying range of levels within people's workplaces and within women's lives. It's a conversation that I've had a lot really recently with male friends about sexual harassment, about sexism, and about how sometimes when we try and explain as women what has happened or what someone said or why that guy was creepy or whatever, you try and explain it to help them understand. But it sounds like not much sometimes when you are explaining it, but you really, it's a different thing to be a woman and to be subjected to some of the things that unfortunately people think it's okay to subject us to. When you get to the Harvey Weinstein part of Rose's book, Brave, she only ever refers to Harvey as the monster. And what I didn't know about her story that I found quite interesting was that she told everybody after she was assaulted. She told so many people. And the only person who said that she should come forward was her lawyer. And her lawyer was recommending that she come forward publicly, not that she press charges. And that, it's just, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine what it must have been like for her to be sexually assaulted and to be told by people who you've gone to for help either things like, oh, I told him to stop doing that, or I squashed a story about him so he owes me not to do this stuff, or it's good for your career. Imagine being told that being raped is going to be good for your career. I can't even wrap my mind around that. That is just disgusting that anyone would do anything other than, is there anything that I can do to help you, and would you like me to come with you if you're going to press charges to support you? Like, I don't want to talk too much about the content of this book because I think it can be really triggering. And I also think there's been a lot about it in the media. So if you're inclined to read this book or listen to this book, I think that there's enough out there for you to know what this book is about. And I think it's really important to go in and listen with as much of an open mind as you can. You might find it confronting like I did. You might find it makes you aware of your own biases that you were not aware of before, and it makes you readjust and reassess just like I did. But I think this is an important book, but I think it can be a book that'd be really triggering for a lot of people. So go in knowing that. I do think Rose McGowan's Brave is confronting and confrontational, but I think that's not only good, but it's necessary.